This is Cinema Chat. Enjoy the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cinema Chat, the podcast where I chat about all things cinema. My name is Izzy, and today we are going to be discussing one of my favorite films of all time. Recently celebrating its 10-year anniversary, this film currently holds the record for most Golden Globe wins and was famously misannounced as the Best Picture winner at the 89th Academy Awards ceremony in 2017. Today, we are talking about La La Land. Before we dive into the film, just real quick, I wanted to talk about the list that Variety just released last week about some early Oscar predictions in the acting categories prior to film festival season starting. Majority of the films that become nominated are first showcased at these festivals. La La Land premiered at the Venice Film Festival before its theatrical release later that year. Some people always ask, that movie hasn't come out yet, how did it get nominated? Well, the people who vote on the films either see it at these festivals or it is submitted to the voters before general audiences get to see it. So the people who nominate these films and actors basically get a preview of everything before it's released to the general audience. That's why sometimes there's films that come out in December that get nominated for things and people are like, wait, it hasn't even come out yet. Anyway, this list is very early on, so there'll be a lot of changes once more films are released, once they network with the voters and all of those things happen. But I just wanted to kind of shout out some that have stuck out to me. Currently at the top spot for our Best Actor category, we have Tom Cruise, who will be starring in a movie called Digger, which releases this coming October. Matt Damon is listed in second place for The Odyssey. And just below the top 5, we have Ryan Gosling for Project Hail Mary, Jafar Jackson for Michael, and Robert Pattinson for Prime Time, which will be released next month. In our Best Actress category, currently the top spot is held by Julianne Moore for her performance in The Debut, which is going to be releasing in December. And Indy Navarrete is also in top 5 for Obsession. For supporting actor, Paul Giamatti is at the top for The Debut. John Leguizamo is in the top 5 for The Odyssey. And just below the line is Robert Pattinson for The Odyssey and Colman Domingo for Michael. Lastly, in our supporting actress category, Anne Hathaway is currently at the top for The Odyssey. Samantha Morton is also in the top 5 for The Odyssey. These will most likely change, but these are the current standouts that I'm keeping my eye on. I do think it is a good chance for Anne Hathaway. I would love to see Robert kind of peek over that line and get into that top 5 as well. I am very excited for The Debut coming out in December. It is going to be Jesse Eisenberg's next film, so I'm very excited to be able to see it. And I'm excited to check out all of the other contenders as well. So just a little bit of news before film festival season starts and we start hearing more buzz about other actors and other films. All right, so let's dive into today's film, La La Land. I was 16 years old when this film came out in 2016. During this time, I was researching where I wanted to go to college and figuring out what I wanted to study. And I'd always loved going to see movies and enjoyed them a lot by this point, but I didn't have the same passion for it as I do now. I had gotten into editing in the past couple of years, so I figured I wanted to explore that area for school. Then I went to the theater and experienced La La Land for the first time ever. This is the film where I fell in love with movies. I walked out of that theater and said, I want to make a movie like that one day. It redefined my whole movie-going experience, and that was the start of me falling in love with filmmaking. It was the first time that I remember being in a theater and just being so immersed in the story, the dancing, the colors, everything. I would go on to talk about this movie constantly, telling all of my friends, this is a must-see. Go watch it. This was also the first time I watched an entire Oscar ceremony because I wanted it to win everything. I was its biggest fan, biggest supporter. I wanted it to take all the awards home. That Sunday night, I had stayed up to see who won Best Picture. I was in high school at the time, so to me this was staying up late. I had to stay up to see if they won. The minute they announced La La Land, I cheered, yay, they won! Said, all right, I'm going to bed. I just laid down, about to go to sleep. Literally, my eyes just closed. My dad comes knocking on my door saying, you may want to come back. So I got up, walked back to the television, where they revealed that Moonlight had actually won Best Picture. And I was devastated. I'd never even heard of Moonlight. Why did they win? It was just utter chaos. I look back on that moment and laugh now. But this was also when I made the decision that I wanted to watch all the Best Picture nominees so I could know all of the movies and be able to share my opinion on each one, whether I think it deserved to win, whether it should have, whether I knew this was an upset or not, because at this time I knew nothing. I just knew I loved La La Land. I still have yet to watch Moonlight. Mostly because I was so angry that they won over my favorite movie that year. But this upcoming March, it'll be a decade since the unfortunate incident. And that will be the day I will finally watch the film. This past weekend, they re-released La La Land in theaters for its 10-year anniversary. So, of course, I had to go. And the experience was absolutely amazing. It definitely brought me back to that first time I watched it. As usual, I am going to be talking about the film in full detail, so there are going to be spoilers ahead, and everything I say is going to be my own opinion. La La Land tells the story of Mia and Sebastian, an aspiring actress and jazz musician who are trying to break through into their respective fields of art. After a few run-ins with one another, they end up falling in love while continuing to push each other to achieve their goals. The first thing I want to talk about with this film is the musical numbers. The first thing we see in this movie is the performance on the freeway, and it does a great job of introducing us to the premise and location of this story. We are in LA. Every single person who's sitting there in traffic has their own story, their own dreams. They are all heading somewhere to achieve that goal. Everything about the music and the dancing just brings so much life and vibrance to the film. From the beginning, you're already pulled into the story because the music invites you in. Everyone who is singing and dancing on top of the cars, they are pulling you in. They're inviting you, saying, this is our show, almost. This is where we're at in our lives. All of us are different. We all have our own thing going on, but in this one moment, we're all going to perform this amazing number, and so that way we can invite you as the audience, the viewer, into what is going on. Most of the numbers after that are just Mia and Sebastian, but that's because they take over the story. The musical is now them meeting, falling in love, chasing their dreams. The planetarium scene specifically, there isn't even any singing, but when they float in the air and dance around, it gives that musical feeling of falling in love. It reminds me of the moment in Cinderella, the animated film, when she first meets the prince and they just start dancing, and we don't even have a moment where they really talk to each other, but they start singing, so this is love. That's what this scene reminds me of, is that they didn't even have to have dialogue or words. It just was emoted through their dance and that moment of floating when you are dating someone for the first time and you have all of those feelings like you can fly or butterflies or all that stuff. It so beautifully is captured in this moment. And that's why it works so well. Because, again, they didn't need words. They just perform this beautiful dance, and you could just see they fell in love. Also, love the tap sequence. I mentioned last week how we don't see tap on the big screen anymore, and this was the last film that I did see it, and they incorporated it so well. I love that Damien Chazelle, the director, wanted to keep the numbers as single takes to pay homage to the early musical films like Singing in the Rain. It gives that same feeling of watching a performance and allowing the audience to be a part of it. Hey, we're going to perform this number for you. The difference in this, though, is that they don't acknowledge the camera like they do in Singing in the Rain. So it's still like we, as the audience, are just watching what's happening. We're not really being acknowledged. But because it is a one take, and anyone who doesn't know what a one take is, that means there are no cutaways from the action. It's the same shot. It's just one continuous long shot. It's just beautiful. The epilogue also references the older model of movie musicals. The set designs reference the Broadway melody sequence from Singing in the Rain. I love how Damien wanted to incorporate that same feeling but make it modern, and it works really well. Because as a musical, you think like, oh, this can't happen today. Nobody's going to come out just singing randomly. It doesn't fit as well nowadays, but he makes it work, and I feel like it still works to this day. 10 years later, it still holds up. Next, I want to talk briefly about the costumes. I don't talk too much about this subject, mostly because it isn't my biggest interest in films, but I loved all of the color in this movie, and I feel like the costumes just add another layer to it. They're fun. They're bright. The yellow dress Mia wears is so iconic. Also, when things start to go wrong, a little detail that they added is Mia starts to wear darker colors in the dinner scene, specifically when they have the argument. The way she's lit and everything, her outfit looks really dark and black and dull because she's starting to give up on her dream and she's losing the vibrance and slowly everything's going wrong. And then she wears a light blue to her audition, which brings back that small bit of color, and it signifies her getting her spark back. Color overall is so beautiful in film, and I think this is something else that just needs to be showcased more. To me, I think La La Land, I just think the beautiful colors. The sky in the background during the lovely night scene, the someone in the crowd, the girls with their dresses. It's just, the color is just so beautiful and intricate, and I just really like it, so I had to mention it. Let's move on to the acting now. Emma Stone plays Mia, and I think she brings such great emotion to the character. Her facial acting is so amazing. Especially her eyes. You get so drawn in. Her audition song performance is absolutely beautiful. And for me, I connect so well with it that it still makes me emotional. She just draws you in so well. This character, in my opinion, I don't feel like I'm watching Emma Stone act as Mia. I feel like I'm watching Mia. There's a lot of instances when watching films, Tom Cruise comes to mind, where I'm like, oh, Tom Cruise as another action guy. He plays an action guy. Like, I always forget the name of his character because I just think, oh, that's Tom Cruise. Dwayne Johnson is another good example for me. It's Dwayne Johnson as guy in the jungle with big muscles. Like, I don't ever fully believe they're playing a character. I just feel like they're playing themselves and they just gave them a different name. But with this movie, she's able to create a new character, and I truly believed, oh yeah, that's Mia. She went on to win her first Oscar for her performance, which was beyond deserved. She'll always be one of my favorite actresses. I absolutely love following her career. I'm excited to see what she does next. And then we have Ryan Gosling, who plays our leading man, Sebastian. The thing I admire about his performance is how authentic he wanted it to be. The piano sequences were all pre-recorded tracks, but Ryan actually learned how to play them so that his hands matched how it should be played. Just the dedication and care he had for it reflected onto his character. Someone who's so passionate about an art that he'll talk your ear off about why it is so important. My grandpa actually loved jazz music. He had a whole collection of records with pure jazz on them, and this added detail in the film reminds me of how much he loved it, and I can imagine him being just as passionate as Sebastian probably is. Also, the scene where Sebastian is explaining jazz and goes on a whole rant in the Lighthouse Cafe reminds me of when I talk deeply about movies with my friends and I go on rants. I try not to go into crazy detail unless they actually want me to, because I will talk their ear off forever. When you're really passionate about something or have a strong interest, you want to talk about it, rant about it, give your opinion, all of those things. And of course, for me, that's movies. The whole idea behind this podcast was because I never shut up about them. So just that one scene, I feel like a lot of people can relate to, because whatever that thing is, that's their own niche. That is them talking to their friends about it. Okay, let's shift to the score. One of my favorite scores of all time. To me, when you close your eyes and just listen to it, it screams dream. The whole premise of the movie is about dreamers and achieving your goals. The music adds on to that. The piano and the orchestra just blend so beautifully together that the music creates this dreamlike sequence where you can just melt into it. Plus, it also adds to the musical experience. As I mentioned before, soundtrack is different, so the songs they sing are part of the soundtrack. But the scenes like where Sebastian plays the piano when she first hears him play, the planetarium sequence, the epilogue, those are all part of the score, but allow for it to still be a musical number. You still picture it as another part of the musical. Just, it's so intricately done. It's so beautiful the way the music just weaves into everything. And just when I hear those notes in me and Sebastian's theme, I always just get little chillies, because it's just so beautiful, and it just takes me back to that moment, watching it for the first time, hearing it for the first time. It truly is something that I will always love. And it just reminds me of the fact that I am a person who has goals for her life, and I want to achieve those. Justin Horwitz is the composer for this film. He went on to win the Academy Award for Best Score and Best Original Song for City of Stars. He's worked on every Damien Chazelle project, so not too many credits, but I would love to hear more. Little shout outs to the other Damien Chazelle films. There aren't many, but they're all great. There's Whiplash, which is another fantastic movie that I'll have to do an episode on. And Babylon is probably his least known film. Excellent movie, great movie theater experience. It did not do very well, unfortunately. I do feel like it's a slept on film. It's great. Now let's talk about the story. I know this is usually the first thing I discuss, but since the ending carries so much weight, I decided to save it for the end. The film does follow the normal formula of a romance. Boy meets girl. They run into each other a few times. They get together, fall in love, have a conflict, break up, reconnect, somehow achieve whatever life goal they got going on. And then this is where they shift. Normally, we have they get back together, get married, live happily ever after, right? Wrong. In this movie, they go their separate ways. We flash forward 5 years later. Oh, but then they reconnect and fall in love again, right? Wrong. Again. Mia, now a successful actress, is revealed to be married and have a daughter. Meanwhile, Sebastian just signs off on his new jazz club and is preparing for opening night. On a night out with her husband, Mia and him stumble on a club and decide to check it out. The name is revealed to be Seb's, and it has the same logo she designed for Sebastian all those years ago. Sebastian then goes up to perform when he sees Mia in the crowd, and so he decides to play the song she first heard him perform when they met. This is where we get the dream sequence, or what I like to call What could have been? After Mia leaves with her husband, but not before locking eyes with Seb, nods in acknowledgement, and leaves. This, my friends, is one of the best endings to a film ever. Yep, I know a lot of people don't like it because what do you mean they don't end up together? Well, that's life. Here is the truth that this represents. Some people are meant to come into our lives for a season, and they may encourage us in some way or teach us something that gives us a whole new perspective. Sebastian and Mia constantly supported each other in pursuing their dreams, pushed one another to follow their passions. She gave him ideas for his club, encouraged him always to move forward in opening it. He pushed her to do her one-woman show, encouraged her to not care what anybody thought of it, that she's doing it for her, and even made sure she came back for her audition. Next, sometimes we have to let people go to be able to achieve our own life ambitions. In the dream sequence, Sebastian follows Mia to Paris. He gets to play jazz in France and has all these opportunities. They build a life together. They have a kid. But he never would have opened his own club. He never would have done what he wanted for himself. By letting her go, she was able to focus on her dream of acting, which became a success, and he was able to achieve his with his club. Now, I know this is sad, but that's the point. Life is hard. Life throws us through hoops, and we don't always get a happily ever after, but we do find our passions, and we have to be willing to take that hard path to achieve them. So no, I would never change this ending. It is perfect, and if you disagree with me, well, too bad. I know a lot of people are probably booing me right now because a lot of people do not like this ending. They don't like that they don't end up together. And I get it. It's frustrating. I admire it, though. It's different from other things. It's not the same formula. It breaks away from it. And it does so in a heartbreaking way. But that's life. This is a movie I think everyone needs to watch. I will recommend it to anyone and everyone. Watch it at least once. Enjoy it. Give your opinion on the ending. But absolutely everyone should experience this movie at least once. Even people who aren't fans of musicals. It is a beautiful story and fully captures what it is to be someone with a dream. Thank you all so much for listening. Please feel free to share this episode with anybody you think may enjoy it. Next week, we are going to be looking at the biographical genre, also known as the biopic. The newest film, Tony, is going to be releasing in theaters based on the American chef Anthony Bourdain. But first, I want to visit one of the best biopic films of all time, Lawrence of Arabia, the story of T.E. Lawrence during World War I. So be sure to check out the film to prepare for next week's episode, and I look forward to sharing my thoughts. If you would like to follow me online, I am at IzzyPog8, the number, on both Instagram and Twitter, at Living Izzily on TikTok, and at IzzyPog on Letterboxd. Shout out to my DJ as usual. Go give him a follow at Mike Afters on Instagram and TikTok. And with that, a happy movie watching to you all. Bye.